Yep, this is your boy Fizzed Music, and this is Urban Politics. I want to thank you all for liking and subscribing as you do. Please, as soon as you have a chance, take your little cell phone over to YouTube, like and subscribe. Fizzed Music, Urban Politics. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I want to jump right into it like a car and drive because we got all types of tasty and delicious politics to sink our teeth into. We'll start off with, oh my God, the man that dominates the news cycle, Trump. I don't even want to talk about this dude. I don't want to talk about him. But I'm talking about politics, so I have to talk about him because he dominates the news cycle. And he's good at it, which is horrible to say. I don't want to give him any credit for anything, but I got to give him credit for that. This guy dominates the news cycle. There's always some extra crap for you to focus on, and you can't even focus on the important stuff because he then came up with more crap to make you focus on it. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen, the ride, okay? Listen, first of all, what everybody been talking about this week? How this guy is destroying the White House. He's destroying the people's house, right? Demolishing the East Wing for his ballroom that's bigger than the White House. That's crazy. Have you seen it? I know you've seen it on the news. They showed how there's like a hallway leading from the White House to this ballroom that's it was going to be 200 and some million. Now it's going to be $390 million to build. And that's taxpayer money. We did not need a ballroom. We don't want a ballroom. There's a brother up the street in a box. He's living in a box. I guarantee you, he does not want a ballroom at the White House. But Trump does. He's all about affluence, right? Or seeming like he has it. It's interesting though. Now I'm just going off on a tangent. Something I was thinking about. This ballroom has went from if first it was going to be like 200 million. Now it's going to be like 300 million. It's interesting because I'm like, why does this guy is so obsessed with a ballroom? All this stuff's going on. His approval ratings are in the toilet. People are mad about people just getting scooped up by ICE. This guy's worried about a ballroom, but why? And my dad was telling me, he said, because he goes to these other countries and they have stuff like that. They have these big lavish ballrooms. They got gold everywhere and all that stuff for their dictators. So that's what Trump wants. But it's ridiculous because this ballroom is way bigger than the White House. And how about this? He's doing all of this stuff through executive order. That's what's going on right now, ladies and gentlemen. That's the only way a president can do things quickly is through executive order. He just signs the executive order, boom, we're doing it. But the thing about that is the next executive can quickly get rid of that garbage. And that's what will happen with all of this stuff Trump's doing. Only thing is, it'll be harder to get rid of this Trump garbage because a lot of it's kind of institutional and ingrained, right? So he done demolished the East Wing of the White House. That's gone. So I was thinking about that. Even if another person, please, Lord Jesus, help another person get it in 2028, right? They would still have to spend taxpayer dollars to try and get the schematics of the original historic White House, then have that rebuilt, and then knock down and demolish this ballroom if they wanted to do that. More taxpayer money, more waste. And that's what's going on here. So it is what it is. You know, he's already done it. It's going in, you know, it's coming to fruition. So he's building this ballroom. So I guess our only hope is that the next executive will have a brain in their head and get rid of that garbage because that's a waste of money and it's a waste of time. But it is what it is, right? So he's doing that, and that is what it is. That's sad. That's really sad. And he runs around talking about how forever they wanted a ballroom. Nobody wanted a ballroom. Don't nobody want it right now. Right now, you know what people want? Affordable health care. You know what people want? Groceries that aren't through the roof so they can eat. That's what they want, Mr. President. They don't want a ballroom. Don't nobody want a ballroom. Nah, ain't nobody thinking about no ballroom except you. Whew. Anyway, moving on. MAGA Nation, they go on and on and on and on about wanting Trump to have a third term, which is crazy. Because obviously they're not paying attention to this term and that last term that was abysmal. And this term is even worse. But whatever. That's their boy. They're on his team. They would love him to have a third term, right? Now listen, if we threw out the Constitution and presidents can have a third term, you know what that means? That means Obama could run again. And he could run against Trump. I think he could beat Trump. Even in this political climate that we're in right now. Crazy. Because, I mean, there's a whole lot of bipartisanship. There's a whole lot of racism. There's a whole lot of tribalism going on all over this country. But I still think Barack Hussein Obama could break through the noise. I think he could. Because he's that charismatic. The guy's that good. He's just that good. I went on record on this show. It's saying that I liken Barack Obama to Eminem, right? Eminem's a white guy, but he's an amazing MC. He just is. From the beginning of his career, I told people all the time, hey, this guy's white, but he's just good. He just has the gift. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is, guy's a wordsmith. He's got the gift, no matter what the color. Same with about Obama. People talk about that it factor. Do people have that it factor? He's got that. He got whatever it is. I don't know what to call it. I don't know what to call it. You know what I'm saying? A certain je ne sais quoi, whatever. Obama got that. He's got the sassafras. He could beat a Trump. And if presidents can run for a third term, why not him? Why not put him up against a Trump? Oh my goodness. If we did that too, it would really point out the racists, wouldn't it? Because the only reason that people could vote for a Trump over an Obama is because the racism piece. And that's fine because, you know what I'm saying, racist people have been put on blast anyway lately. They're feeling comfortable. They come out the woodwork. So, oh well. You know what I'm saying? They want to show their colors loud and proud. Let them do that. Let them do that. And we see who wins. But I think the majority of America is not racist. The majority of America is progressive. And Obama would slaughter Trump in an election. He would kill that guy in an election. And that would really just be the final nail in Trump's coffin, wouldn't it? Because he's already obsessed with Obama. He already hates the brother because people genuinely love him. So Trump hates that. Trump wants that genuine love. He don't want to do anything to garner it, but he wants it. He'll never get it. Obama got it. So that would really, that's like put the final nail in his coffin to lose to Barack Hussein Obama, the black guy. That'd be something. So that's something to keep in the back of your head. That's interesting. So when they float that stuff, MAGA, when you talk about, you know, Trump getting a third term, Democrats, pay attention. Because that might be the best thing that ever happened to you. Because if he talking about a third term, then guess what? Our boy can get a third term. Dude from our gang, he can get a third term, right? You have a Democrat named Barack, you know what I'm saying? Obama can get a third term. What you gonna do with that? You know what he would do with that? He would lose. He would lose. Said it'd be amazing. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about healthcare. That's a big thing around here. You know what I'm saying? Because we all need it. Everybody needs healthcare. For years in this country, healthcare has been tied to where you work. Same with me. Where you work, you get healthcare through your job or whatever and stuff like that. Then, you know what I'm saying, Obama kind of changed things and made the open market, the American Care Act, which they call Obamacare. And he said that he was fine with that. He said because Obama does care. So I'm glad y'all calling it Obamacare. I thought that was amazing. The way he twisted that on that's something a rapper would do. That was dope. So there's that. But check this out. As far as ACA goes, the American Care Act, 45% of the GOP will use the ACA. So 45% of the people who are on Obamacare or utilizing the American Care Act are Republican. 45% of them. 45% of them are Republican, and they use the American Care Act, something that their party railed against. Anyway, 35% are Democrats. That makes sense. And 20% are independents. So there you go. So that's kind of the breakdown of what's going on with the American Care Act or Obamacare. But it's crazy because we have the GOP systematically trying to get rid of it when 45% of their constituents are on it and are benefiting from it. So that makes sense, right? Why, 52, 53, 54 maybe at this point, times they try to get rid of Obamacare, but they can't. Because their own constituents are on it. But then you have your own constituents railing against it, even though they benefit from it and they need it and it's helping them. That's crazy. That's the pathology of Americans. That's the pathology of human beings. How could you rail against something that's obviously in your best interest? I remember watching a reel and I seen some white lady get up there and she had talked about how her husband died. You know what I'm saying? Because he couldn't afford their health care bills and he had something going on like a brain tumor or something and he died. And she said, I'm still alive thanks to Obamacare. Well, Jesus, if you if Obamacare has saved your life, you probably should be voting for the party that supports Obamacare. Listen, these days, I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. What party is going to do something for me? I'm an independent. So I'm looking out for Ed's best interest, right? And between the two parties, Democrats, they're the only ones going to give you something. Republicans ain't giving you nothing, you know? So there it is. You know, if Democrats have given you this American Care Act, why would you not vote democratically? They're trying to help you, right? Anyway, moving on. So there's that going on. Key issues for Democrats, they said, is health care. That's the reason for the shutdown. The Democrats, let the Republicans and that's what I'm saying. Let the Republicans, because they're in power, right? The Republicans have the House, the Senate, and the executive. So they're in power, right? So shutting down the government is them. The only people who could shut down the government right now would be Republicans because they have the executive, which is the presidency, which is Trump, the House, and the Senate. So they're the only ones who can do it. So they're doing it. They want to push it at the Democrats and say it's a Democratic shutdown. No. This is y'all shutdown. When you see the reels and the videos and stuff, as I'm sure all of you all have seen, right? You see all these Democrats showing up to work. You don't see no Republicans. You know what I'm saying? Because what's his name? Mike Johnson. He told them don't come. Don't even come and negotiate with these people. He don't even want these Republicans talking to these Democrats because why? What do the Democrats want? They want them to not mess around with Medicare and Medicaid, and then they also want to vote on that new lady who's supposed to come into Congress. And when they put her in there, she's the final vote on them Epstein files. That's another thing. That's another mess that he don't want to deal with, right? So he's like, just keep it out of session. If we stay out of session, she can't get voted in, and we ain't got to do with that Epstein crap. And hopefully the American people forget about a horrible bill that we got that's going to rip them of all of their medical privileges and all that good stuff. So that's what's going on right now. So the Republicans, the Democrats are holding the line. Thank God. Because, this is it. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. For real. Now, I tell people all the time, though, before I move on to my next point, I tell people all the time, listen, here's worst case scenario. Worst case, I hope this is worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, the Democrats crouch and capitulate to the Republicans like they always do. You know what I'm saying? They just go ahead and give them whatever they want. Debt ceiling gets raised. They give the Republicans what they want. All this stuff gets enacted. All these people lose their health care. America is thrown into turmoil. And then the midterms come up. And all of these Republicans lose their seat. That's best case scenario. But I think, and a lot of people have talked about this, that Trump sees that coming. That's the reason why they're doing all this stuff, and they're doing it really, really fast. They're doing it really, really fast because, and my pops hit me to this, Trump is mad at Biden, right, for messing up his streak. He had those 4 years. He was doing some bad stuff. He wanted another 4 years to really cement the bad garbage he was doing against people of color and all that stuff. It got disrupted by Biden. I've talked about this on the show before. It got disrupted by Biden. So now he's back in there, but he's got to do it quick. So that's why all this stuff's coming with executive order. But it kind of sucks. And there's Republicans who don't like it too, because when you do stuff with this, this quick way with an executive order, the next executive comes in, gets rid of it. So it's not really, it's not cemented, it's not helping, right? But he's doing what he can. He's trying to do it quick. So there's that. But it's probably not going to work. And with this American Care Act, that is the one thing that's interesting that the Democrats care about, giving health care to people. What do GOP care about? The GOP cares about economy, immigration, and crime. Economy, immigration, and crime. Now, economy, I understand. That's a kitchen table issue. You know, how much we're paying for bread, how much we're paying for milk, all of that good stuff. I get that. You know what I'm saying? Economy, that's real. You know what I'm saying? Everything has raised except the, you know what I'm saying, the money that you get in your paycheck. So that's the problem. All right, so that's number one. Immigration. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like people who are not of color are more upset about immigration than people who are of color. Because in my mind, immigrants make America great. They really do. Immigrants are the reason why there's a taco truck around the corner that has the best beans I've ever had in my life. Right? And if you're hungry, you go around the corner and get the best beans you ever had in your life. I was online and somebody said that. Have you ever went to a taco truck that wasn't good, where the food wasn't good? No. So there you go. Immigrants add to this country. They do. That's why the standard bearer for the Republicans in the 80s, Ronald Reagan, he loved immigration. He was all about immigration because he understood it made this country better, right? Because without immigration, what do you have? Just a bunch of Americans. And I mean, anyway, moving on. So there's that. Crime. I didn't want to talk about that. We got a president who is invading peaceful cities, invading Portland, and people are putting on frog suits and dancing in front of ICE. Please be paying attention to that, ladies and gentlemen, because this president wants to make it seem like Chicago and Portland and some of these cities are so you know what I'm saying, just entrenched with crime. Crime is everywhere. People can't go out their house and hate to do that. It's a family show. That is just not the case, ladies and gentlemen. He is lying. He's lying to your face. He's lying. And then a lot of this footage they'll show of ISIS guards grabbing people and all that stuff. It don't even be the city that they're talking about. They show some video that wasn't even Portland. They were saying that was some other city that had that going on. You know what I'm saying? But not Portland. So a lot of these places he wants to invade is just because they're democratic cities. These are just places that didn't vote for him. So now, and he's going to go, in his mind, oh, these places are off the hook. Oh, they got crime running rampant. They're democratic cities. I got to go in here and with the, you know what I'm saying, with the Federal Reserve and whoever I can find to tamper down this violence. And then he gets on Fox News and tells other people that who are stupid and don't know how to do a little bit of research. And they believe that garbage. It's garbage. These places are fine. Chicago don't need no Trump. Right? They don't need no Trump. You know, you seen the protests. Shoot. You know what I'm saying? They don't need, they don't need him. That's why I said the frog guy. They say that's now like a hallmark of protest. You know what I'm saying? A guy in a frog suit or frogs or whatever. That's great. You know what I'm saying? That's America coming together. The No Kings rally we just had. Jesus. Come on. There were 1 million rallies all over this great nation because this guy sucks. Come on now. And then Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, going to say, oh, this is really a Hate America rally. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. These people love their country and they don't want to see it fall into authoritarianism. But that is what is happening before their eyes. So they're going out here and they're doing what King showed them how to do. Peaceful protest. That's right. Dr. King brought it to you, right? And he showed them how and doing it. And I love it too. You getting in little outfits and stuff. That's hilarious. But I love that because it really just shows the idiocracy of these ICE agents. It just shows the stupidity of this administration. When you got people out there in these little suits and stuff, you know what I'm saying, they doing little line dances and stuff in front of these agents, it just shows the silliness of this whole thing. How we got a president who would say that the people are the enemy. The people are the enemy, really? But you know what he's saying with that. People who look like me are the enemy. Some of these YNs are the enemy. No, they're not. These are our kids. These are our neighbors. These are our children. These are our family. That's who that is. They're not the enemy, Mr. Trump. So you need to fix that. Get that fixed, as my brother would say. Get that fixed. Last thing, because time is drawing nigh. Let me get to the last thing. Gavin Newsom. He probably going to run in 2028. Vote for that dude. I'm going to vote for him. Gavin Newsom gets my vote. I like this guy. Listen, He was behind the Democrats in Texas who tried to stop the Republicans from gerrymandering the districts. And he was instructing Democrats in these democratically ran states. He was telling them to do your districting maps right now. Right now. Do not wait for Republicans to get power and then they do it. I've talked about this on this show before. That's a place where Democrats tend to sleep. They sleep on that redistricting. You cannot sleep on redistricting. Redistricting is the reason why we have a Marjorie Taylor Greene. Redistricting is the reason why we have a Laura Boebert. I think that's her name. Whatever. You know who I'm talking about. These people, the reason they hold a spot in Congress is because of redistricting. These Republicans, and I'm going on record as saying this on the show too. Republican Party, they're garbage. They're snake oil salesmen. But they are so much better at the game of politics than the Democratic Party. And they was up on that. Redistricting, they've been on that. Gerrymandering, they the ones who started that and got together with that. But it's brilliant. You know, if you could just mark out district and say these people will vote for my person, you keep them people in office until the end of time. It's smart. Democrats, get hip. Gavin Newsom telling you to get hip. I love that. That's why I said this guy, he gets my vote for president in 2028. Gavin Newsom, he's that dude. He's a cool guy anyway, right? But this is smart. And I'm hoping the Democratic leaders in these states are paying attention because you can't continue to play offense. The Republican Party has turned into something different, right? Years ago, I remember having conversations with Republicans, and you know, you had Republicans who were, I don't know, who were talking about the deep state or how they wanted an outsider or whatever, stuff like that. But it wasn't as prevalent as right now. But what's silly right now is they talk about how they want an outsider, but their standard bearer is Trump, who's not an outsider at all. You know, here's a guy had a reality show, got into politics, but he's rich, like all these other people in the politics or whatever. So these rich guys are his friends. These business owners are his friends. And all he's doing is lacing the pockets of his friends, you know, while retaining office, and also lacing his own pockets. So it's interesting, you know what I'm saying, that the Republican Party has changed. The Democratic Party has changed. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit up here and act like any of them Democrats got halos over their head. Nancy Pelosi, she's one of the biggest stock traders they say there is. So she's invested in that. And she's one of the people who voted against Congress people not being able to trade stocks and stuff like that. That's interesting because she's probably making a lot of money off of it. It's two arms of the same bird, ladies and gentlemen. You know, you got Republicans on the right, you got Democrats on the left, but it's the same bird. Same bird. So a lot of them are on the take. It is what it is. People want to destroy this democracy, start from the ground up. That'd be interesting. I don't see that happening because both parties have a pretty good stronghold on this country. And that's the reason you only hear about them. You know, Democratic, Republican. There are other parties, right? There's the Green Party, Libertarian Party, another one I can't remember. I never can remember. So there's other parties, but you don't hear about them because Democrats and Republicans make sure that the only parties you're thinking about is these two. The only parties you're going to vote for is these two. And between the two of them, they really like to be either one, right? Because they're against each other. So that is politics in a nutshell. I'm praying that cooler heads will prevail, right? 2026 will come. We'll have a midterm. Things will flip, right? The House will be Democratic. The Senate will be Democratic. And then Trump will just get thwarted the next 2 or whatever years he has in office until we get a new executive who hopefully is Democrat. That's on you, America. Who knows? We had a chance to get Kamala, who is not perfect, but you know what? She would have been a million times better than Trump. We could have got Hillary, who ain't perfect, but she would have been a million times better than Trump. But this country likes old white men. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, right? All right. With that said, I'm out of here. Listen, I am Phys Ed Music. And this is Urban Politics. I want to thank you all for liking and subscribing as you do. Please, as soon as you have a chance, take your little cell phone over to YouTube. Like and subscribe. Fizz Ed Music, Urban Politics. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to see you around like a donut.